Alright, this is the final installment in our comparison between Jazzmaster pickups and P90 pickups. This time we're using the Earthquaker Devices Life Pedal Fuzz, and we're also using a clone of just the fuzz circuit of the Schumann PLL. You should know the drill by now. Listen out for how much treble, middle and bass frequencies there are in each clip, and try and listen to where the mid-range emphasis falls for each clip as well. Try and keep an ear out for how much clarity there is, and listen to how the pedals and how the amp responds to the different pickups. Particularly listen to how much sustain each pickup is able to create with the fuzz, how much Velcro effects you get, and just how much of the guitar's tone and string definition you hear coming through. Again, to hear the differences, I recommend using good speakers or good headphones. And with that being said, I'll see you after the playing. Okay, so we're back, and hopefully by now you'll see a pattern emerging. First of all, again, I think you can hear the extended low end with the Jazzmaster and the extended high end as well. When it switches between Jazzmaster and P90, I think you can really hear the mid-range emphasis of the P90 and the fact that it has less high end and less low end. I actually really like the extended low end response of the Jazzmaster through the fuzz, especially through the Schumann, and that extra high end gives you so much more clarity, in my opinion, than you get with the P90. I thought it was interesting with the glitchy fuzz sounds how much more quickly the Jazzmaster pickup died in terms of its sustain, and how much more it struggled to trigger the fuzz than the P90. Now this is particularly interesting because the P90 is set quite far from the strings, whereas the Jazzmaster pickup is a lot closer to the strings. And even with that difference in how much output the pickup is getting from the strings, by which I mean with this pickup being lower in the body, it's getting less output from the strings because it's further away from them. This pickup still has more output than the Jazzmaster and is able to push and drive the glitchy Velcro fuzz better, and is able to make it sustain for a lot longer. I think in the overdrive and clean and distortion clips you couldn't necessarily hear that difference in output between the Jazzmaster and the P90 so well, but here it really shows that difference in how much more output the P90 has. Throughout these videos when I've been listening to the audio back, the Mustang has almost been sounding like a Strat pickup to me, and that's the pure vintage 65 Jazzmaster pickup. Its sound has been very different from the classic vibe Jazzmaster, and its high-end content and its mid-scoop has been very reminiscent to me of a Stratocaster bridge pickup. I've actually just removed that pickup from the Mustang because I'm reinstalling two Mustang pickups in there, and I'm going to upload a video testing those soon. But I've got the pure vintage 65 here, and it's actually really interesting. What you would expect to see on kind of a vintage correct Jazzmaster pickup is the wire wound right to the edge of the bobbins. But on this pickup, the wire probably stops about here where my fingers are. So although it is an authentic thin or shallow bobbin, it doesn't have anywhere near as much wire wrapped around it as you would expect from a vintage Jazzmaster pickup. And I think that is probably the reason for the kind of disparity between the sound of this one and the sound of the Squier Classic Vibe one. However, that being said, I think in these fuzz examples it gives you so much more clarity than either of the other pickups because there's so much high end in the sound. I think it really comes to its own in these clips, whereas in the others it hasn't necessarily sounded so good to my ears. The second song that was played here is a single by my band, Sad Face. And actually the Mustang with the pure vintage 65 is the guitar that I used to record that song in the studio. And that's because of how kind of punchy and bright and cutting it is, even with heavy fuzz tones applied. Okay, well I think that just about wraps it up for this series of videos. If you have any thoughts, any questions, any observations or anything I missed, please feel free to share that in the comment section below. We'll be moving on from pickup comparisons to kind of comparing hardware and upgrades again for the Classic Vibe, Jaguar and Jazzmaster in the next few videos I upload. So hopefully you'll find that interesting, hopefully you'll stick around to watch those, and I'll see you next time.